So when um, this Heinz person, just meeting him face to face seemed to, I'm sure he was a decent person. He was kind of a joking type. But he definitely did not want me to see anything that they were doing that was illegal. And I don't know what I would have done in this situation had I been in a room where there were lines of coke or whatever being passed around. What would I have done had they offered it to me? I have no idea. Or I probably would have just said no because I'd never done anything like that before. And I would have declined, but just, I guess, been there. And I don't think most people are comfortable with that. I think most possibly Heinz knew I'd never done any drugs of any kind, and he wasn't really willing to, and his dad probably knew something about me, or Carrie knew something about me, and they weren't willing to have everything jeopardized with somebody who would just stand and watch. And so after that art thing, then we went to we had gone to dinner first because then this friend of Mike's was making fun of me. And actually the friend that I met of Mike's looked a lot like Dick Whittemore's girlfriend's daughter that Krista Schneider and I ended up going out to have a drink with. Because later I met her again, I was like, that's weird. She's wearing the same pants. And she looks almost exactly like the woman that I met who knows Mike Tanzer. And yet somebody who said that she was friends with Krista Schneider and connected to Dick Whittemore. But they might be two separate people, but I am not totally sure. They could be. But again, there's this weird circle thing going on. So we had first gone to dinner. I had had that one margarita. That's all that I had had. And over the course of an entire dinner, having one margarita and eating everything was not too much for me. And then we were at this art showing, and the effects had worn off by the time we were at the art place. So I didn't have any liquor at the art showing either. If they offered it, they may have, and I don't remember, but I didn't have any. So all that I'd had for several hours was one margarita with dinner, and that would not be enough to make me drunk or to intoxicate me in a way that I would be incapacitated in any way. So then after that, he said, do you want to go I believe it was that same night that he said, let's go to a I feel like I'm wasting this time here because I'm trying to remember. I remember definitely the sequence of when I went to dinner and then the art thing. But then I'm trying to remember when I went out with him and we were going to meet this Heinz guy a second time. I don't know if it was later that night. And I think it was. If not, it was a separate night. first time that I had sex with Mike was after I was incapacitated after having about a quarter of a drink, or a third of a glass. I mean, we're talking like a tumbler, regular tumbler size. Not a huge thing, just like a scotch glass or something. And I had maybe a third of it. And I was completely drunk. I dropped things. I had money falling out of my pockets, and I was dropping things. I was staggering on the sidewalk. I remember I was tripping. Not tripping like drug tripping. I was stumbling on the sidewalk. And I was saying all kinds of things to him after I had had that drink. And he wasn't drunk. So when we were back he wanted to first meet, before I had that drink, he first wanted to meet Heinz. And they blocked us from their private party at this one bar. He said it's a private party. And Mike was upset because Heinz, his friend, was telling somebody at the door to tell him it was a private party. And what Mike had told me when we were in the car was that there was going to be an after party that night. It was that same night. There was going to be something after the art show. There's going to be an after party at Heinz's house, or one of the houses with Heinz. And that, why don't we get a drink, and then we could go to this, or, and there would be this after party. So first we went to this quote-unquote private party thing, and we weren't able to get in. So then he got a call from Heinz, or one of Heinz's friends, I believe it was Heinz, who said, meet us for the after party, or girlfriend, who said, meet us for the after party later tonight. So he said, well, why don't we get a drink, and then we can do that. And so, and he again told me that there was going to be drugs at the after party. So then we went to this place, which I believe was, excuse me, the bar 15. And that bartender, I can't say, I mean, if Mike knew, did Mike know what was in that drink that he gave me? I'm not sure. I didn't watch it the whole time. Did the bartender know and just do something for Mike? I'm not sure, but typically the bartender will, and the person picking up the drink will know each other in some way or do something for each other, because usually you don't just have random bartenders giving the dates of other people, drugs or something to intoxicate them beyond what they've asked for. So I got a double proof of something after I'd had the one margarita. And I was, there's no explanation at all. Even if it was a separate occasion where there hadn't been a margarita at all, and it was just that one thing, it was extremely strange that that the effects of that drink acted the way that they did on me. And I remember that, it was Mike that dropped some change, and then I was picking it up and giving it to him, and he was mocking me. He was making fun of me in that situation. And I remember I was stumbling on the sidewalk. I dropped my purse. I had a purse with me. It was an embroidered purse, and it had a gold clasp. It was black. And then it had this colorful embroidery on the, or no, actually, this was when I had, I think, my little wallet. It was like a, it was a green wallet-sized purse with, kind of a rectangular clasp clutch type of a thing. And I kept dropping it because I couldn't hold on to it. I was so drunk. So this is, I had enough experience with drinking and having a vodka soda to know that that wasn't normal. But I didn't really know at that moment I couldn't process what was going on. So then when we were at his house, I said I didn't want to, and then he kept wanting to, and then basically I sort of coerced into having sex. And I had told him I didn't want to. And it was kind of a goal for him. And basically, I always knew after that occasion, I always knew that my drink, something had been wrong with my drink. And after that, I remember thinking I've just been raped again, but I couldn't process it. And I felt horrible, and I wouldn't call him at first, but then I thought the same thing. I thought, this keeps happening to me. Maybe I should stay with him because I can't be with another person. These men have raped me when I wasn't fully processing that it was rape, what was happening. And I kept thinking, well, maybe instead of just being a one-night stand and having it be that, I should just keep accepting his calls and try to make a relationship work, even though he's done what he's done to me. Because I didn't want to be going from one person to another and just be targeted and have this happen. That's not the type of person I was. I wasn't somebody who was interested in having sex with a bunch of different individuals. And every single time, in every single case, I was incapacitated. It wasn't that I was a floozy. It wasn't that I was making excuses for my conduct or behavior. It was that I was being targeted by federal employees and people connected to federal employees. And they were assaulting me. They were sexually raping me and targeting me to do that. And so I remember I did know that what had happened was wrong. I did know there was something wrong with that drink. But I then went out with him maybe one more time because I thought, should I maybe just try to make a relationship work even though this happened, because is this going to continue? I was really in a state of shock. And so I believe I went out with him one more time, and at that time, that's when I kept having the migraines, and I felt like I was then getting set up to look like I was, hopefully to look like maybe something was wrong with me. And that occurred after I was basically date raped by him. I really never wanted to say that I was date raped by Mike, but I have always maintained that there was something weird with that drink, and I guess it really comes down to the fact of having to say that that's what happened. And so after that, happened with him is when I met, next I was meeting the FBI agents, who then wanted to see if I had any drugs in my house, and who basically tried to do the same thing to me. And they did sexually, assault me. After this happened with Mike, I was trying to get my ring back. I was getting targeted with migraines at his house, and then I had left a tourmaline ring from my Nana at his house. I asked him to send it back to me. He refused to give it to me. And for weeks, he refused to return my ring. He just, he had been calling me all the time, then all of a sudden he wasn't returning my calls. It was like he was deliberately trying to provoke me, because who would do that? And then then after that, and during that time, there is this guy, Adam, who might have been connected to Mike, because he was U.S. Navy and he was from California, from the same area, the U.S. Navy intelligence.